Today I'm gonna walk you through one of my biggest Pokemon failures of all time. I've been into Pokemon for pretty much as long as I can remember. I think that I was just a little guy in kindergarten the first time that I was ever introduced to Pokemon. It was Pokemon Red. A friend gave it to me and said, "Hey, bet you can't beat this battle." And as a kid, I literally had no idea what I was doing, and I was just mashing the A button, and so I actually managed to win the battle, so pro Pokemon trainer right here from straight out of the womb. Ever since that moment of playing Pokemon, I knew that I always wanted it. And I always begged my parents to get me a Pokemon game. Well, the problem was I also didn't have a Game Boy yet, so I needed the whole setup. And that's when I remember waking up Christmas morning and opening up this bad boy. My very own Game Boy Advance, this exact one. Not only that, but they also got me a copy of Pokemon Fire Red, and again, of course, the exact same one. I still have my childhood setup, which, I mean, how many people can say they still have their childhood setup of Game Boy? It's also kind of weird that my first setup was a Game Boy Advance. A lot of people might think that that's pretty weird, but at the same time, I guess there's a lot of people that their first console was a 3DS, so it's neither here nor there. I'd love to say that I kept this safe since then, but honestly, if you check out the screen on the Game Boy, it's definitely seen better days. Not only that, but it doesn't have a back cover. I haven't been the greatest at this thing, but I was a kid. I mean, what do you expect, huh? After choosing Squirtle as my starter and playing through the entire game of Pokemon Fire Red, getting Blastoise to level 100, my first ever level 100, something inside me said, yeah, you know what? Pokemon is here to stay. After my experience with Pokemon Fire Red, the next experience that I went into was Pokemon cards, of course, the natural progression, right? You know. I think it's safe to say I probably had hundreds, if probably thousands of Pokemon cards freaking everywhere throughout my entire house. And this was like one of the peak eras of Pokemon. We had Gold Stars, we had old school EXs, some of the now rarest cards that you can find. I mean, other than, you know, first edition base set Charizard. As every kid always does, you start going overboard with Pokemon cards. And as I got into like high school, I wanted to complete a set. That was my new goal, completing a Pokemon card set. So as I was scrolling the depths of the internet looking for Pokemon cards, and now that I'm in high school, it's the X and Y era cards, but I wanted to go back in time and find some of my Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald era cards to complete my first ever set. Somehow, I managed to find this Australian website that probably doesn't even exist anymore, and they were selling an EX Power Keepers booster box. Can you believe that? This was a Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald box, and when the X and Y era was out, I found it in a store for just like retail price. It wasn't even $150 at the time, which now if we found a set from even Sword and Shield, that set is gonna be double the value that it was when it came out. It was unbelievable that you could find stuff like that back then. Nowadays, no way you could find that kind of a deal. Of course, I bought the box, and the second that it showed up, I ripped that thing apart. I filmed it, and I'd never even uploaded the footage as a video because, you know, as a high school kid, work ethic wasn't exactly my strong suit. But I basically pulled like probably 70% of the set from that booster box, filled my binder, and then I went online, troll and toad. David Adams Card World, I think back then, and every single website that was selling Pokemon cards, I was grabbing and buying them up, filling that binder. And I mean, if you know EX Power Keepers, there's some big cards there. They have the old school EXs, of course. They had Gold Star Flareon, Gold Star Jolteon, Gold Star Vaporeon. I ended up collecting every single one of those cards and completing my first ever set. That was a beautiful binder, I gotta say. Oh, it was gorgeous. But that opened up a can of worms. I had this feeling of completion in my heart, and all of a sudden, I had a new goal. I didn't want to just complete one set of Pokemon cards. I wanted to complete every single set of Pokemon cards. That was my new goal. And you can imagine how that went. I started buying cards from every freaking place I could find them, starting to complete sets, and you know what? I actually did pretty darn good. The first set that I ever completed, obviously Power Keepers. The next set, base set. The next set after that, base set 2. Then Fossil, then Jungle, Team Rocket. I had the first 6 sets fully completed. It was kind of a thing of like dreams, you know? If I had that today, oh yeah, I guess I'm spoiling the story a little bit. I don't have that anymore. That's where we're going with this. But if I had that today, my life would be complete. Before we get too far away from that EX Power Keepers booster box though, I just gotta tell you, do you guys know how much that thing's worth now? If we look at the eBay last sold, the last one that sold, offer accepted, so we don't know the exact dollar amount, but $20,000 is what it was posted for. I bought that thing for less than $150 and opened it. Wish that I had that today to resell. That'd be fantastic. So after completing all of base set, I figured let's skip Generation 2 and move on to the Generation 3 era because I already had EX Power Keepers completed, so why not continue on that road, right? It kind of made sense. Right? Kind of. Well, that's exactly what I did. I ended up buying Gold Star Entei. I already had the 3 Gold Star Evolutions. And then one day, something happened. I walked into a card store, and there it was. Gold Star Charizard, just sitting there in the cabinet. Could you imagine that today? How often do you walk into a card store and just see a Gold Star Charizard sitting there? It doesn't happen very often, okay? And that's when I did it. I bought it. Just kidding, no I didn't. I actually traded a complete inbox Sega Genesis that my grandmother had gifted me. I traded 1-for-1 Gold Star Charizard for a Sega Genesis. I think I did pretty darn well with that deal. That was, oh my goodness. So at that time, not only was I trying to complete sets, base set, Ruby Sapphire, Emerald, like all those sets, it was also the era of X and Y, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm not just like buying individual cards, I'm also going to the store and buying packs. And you could just buy these packs for $5 back then. And I was pulling some pretty good cards. I pulled the shiny Virizion, I pulled the shiny Charizard, I pulled the shiny Rayquaza. Just kidding, no, I had to buy that because I tried so hard. I opened so many of those booster boxes, I could never pull it. I don't even want to talk about those booster boxes that I opened. I can't imagine how much money I've lost there. I was really like heavily completing these X and Y sets at the same time. You should have seen all the binders that I had. I think I had about 10 binders, and they were the ringed binders, so you could just fill as many cards into those binders as you wanted to. And we know now that you don't want to collect those cards in those binders. That's
bad binder behavior.
So far, this story sounds pretty good, right? I mean, I have completed sets, I'm buying a bunch of cards. Yeah, sure, I could have kept those things sealed and sold them now, but I mean, every kid opens Pokemon cards. You can't look back and be mad at yourself for what you opened and didn't keep sealed, right? Come on. Here's where the problem is. I was growing up, right? No one my age liked Pokemon. I was just graduating high school, 18 years old. I was about to move out of my house. These are the years where you kind of get told by a lot of people, hey, it's time to grow up. And I mean, I had an adult job. I was a firefighter. It's hard to believe now. I mean, so I made the mistake. I started reaching out to local card stores, seeing if anyone would be interested in buying my collection. Well, 3 of them got back to me, and that's what I did. I packed up all my cards and went on a little road trip, seeing which one was interested, truly interested. So the first store that I go to, the guy looks at me, okay, dead in the eyes, okay, like this, and he says, dude, I cannot afford this collection. You have too good of cards. I'm not even kidding. That's what he says. He says, I can't afford this. I go to the next store, okay? This guy, I'll never forget this guy. This guy makes me an offer, $1,000 for my cards. And even back then, when cards were cheap. That was a terrible deal. I'm mad at this guy for making that offer. That was a ridiculous offer. No, we leave. Next store. This guy, I can't afford this, but I do know someone that might be interested. And the guy picks up his phone, okay? Which in my case is my Game Boy because I already had it out, right? Hey man, you gotta get over to the store right now. No, dude, I'm at work. I can't. No, I don't care if you're at work. Come to the store right now. There's a Gold Star Charizard. And then he hangs up. 10 minutes later, the guy shows up and he starts looking through my cards. And he asks, what are you looking for everything? Back then, market value was probably about $3,000 on everything. Okay, that's so unbelievable to believe, by the way. But he says, you know what? Okay, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm not interested in. I honestly think that he just wanted the big cards, the gold stars, the shinies, the EXs, of course, right? But I told him, no, you can't just handpick a certain amount of cards. You gotta take a chunk. So he ends up offering me $2,500 for half of the collection, which to me, it's like, okay, well, why wouldn't I accept that? The two totes together are $3,000 market. He's offering me $2,500 for half. So it made perfect sense. He took everything except for the Diamond and Pearl era and the X and Y era, if I believe. I think he split the X and Y era in half. So he took the better half and left me with the worse half, of course, right? This is where the story kind of goes two ways. There's the regret of what I sold, but then there's also what I did with that money. Okay, $2,500 at the time, that was a quarter of a down payment towards my house. I used that money to partially buy a house. So like, can I really be too mad about this? Yes, I can. I could have had a Gold Star Charizard. So if you guys are OGs here, you know that I've told this story before. You may be wondering like, bro, you told this story already. Well, guess what? This is the revamped version. This is the new me. If you want to watch the old video, it's on Palmers Shorts. It used to be for lv, so that was my old channel. Now, this is the new one. So the last time that I filmed this video, what I did was I reached out to this gentleman to see what happened with those cards. So I'm gonna grab the messages from that old video and let's see what he said, because this is a fun one. Hey, you probably don't remember who I am, but I sold you the Gold Star Charizard plus much more a couple years back. I'm curious what you still have from that sale. He answers with, lol, hey, I remember you. Great start. And then he says, I still have most of the big cards. I sent most of them for grading. Now they're in the vault. Oh, good. They're graded. Oh, so, of course, the first card I have to ask about is the Gold Star Charizard, right? PSA 7. He got a PSA 7 on the Gold Star Charizard, okay? Remember, $2,500 is what I sold this lot for. Let's see the price of a Gold Star Charizard as a PSA 7 nowadays. The latest sold was a PSA 7 Gold Star Charizard, $6,000. Can we just end the video there? You guys get it. You get the hurt. That's enough. That's enough. No, we must continue. I asked him about the evolutions, but he had multiples of them, so he couldn't tell me exactly which ones got which grades, but let's just look at the comparisons for ungraded Gold Star evolutions, because those alone, just raw price nowadays, is more than enough for me to be upset. And then he says, the Plasma Blast Charizard got a PSA 8! What does that go for on eBay nowadays, huh? Oh, good. Last sold 900, 1,000, 900. And then this is my favorite part. Was it your collection that had some of the old EXs? Yep, that's me. Yeah, I sent a bunch of those off to get graded last year, but still haven't got them back yet. Laughing emoji. I don't even want to know what those got. My next favorite message, the Gold Star Entei got a PSA 9. What's that go for? Oh, last sold Gold Star Entei, 1,000, 960, 930. I love it here. I love it here. So basically, moral of the story, don't sell Pokemon cards, especially really big ones, as a lot. And if you do, don't reach out to the people you sold them to. I mean, let's be honest. Where I have gotten to from this sale, I sold my house for double what I paid for it. Okay? That's pretty incredible. Every dollar that I lost with Pokemon cards, I made back when I sold my house. And I mean, I'm pretty damn proud of the collection that I have now. I have so much stuff. Not only that, but I'm currently in the process of buying another house, which means new studio?